Hi, beautiful Gemini. It's Mary Ellen coming to you from Moonrise Cottage once again for your beautiful May 2018 Soul Tarot reading. If you're new, welcome to the channel. And if you're a returning viewer, it's so great to have you back. I am starting with the image as always. Those are the cards for May. Pretty phenomenal progression of movement. So I'm going to toggle over and say hi, and then we'll jump in, okay? And just a reminder, hi everybody, there I am. Welcome to Moonrise Cottage. Today feels like the very first day of spring. Technically it's not. It is 70 degrees here for the first time in, I don't know, probably a year. It's beautiful, and I had a wonderful day today. Interesting day relating to your reading and some of the things that have transpired over time. And I was reminded this morning, I had an opportunity to go and visit a new friend, and it was way up on top of a small mountain, and the vista was the sky was so clear you could see into the next state and see the mountains of New Hampshire. It was really beautiful. And we were sitting by a pond, and the pine trees were just overloaded with pine cones. And I really we had this very ethereal hour or hour and a half, and the frogs all of a sudden started to sing. Haven't heard that yet this spring. So things are really coming alive. And the ground is warming up, I think, is part of what's happening. So I had a little bit of a flashback maybe to the reading that I did for Gemini in October of 2017. So go and check out that reading. It was very interesting. And there was a lot of chatter about this beautiful tree spirit. And that's how it felt once again this morning. I was sitting up on top of this rise, staring across the vista of the mountains, sitting in front of a pond, surrounded by these giant trees, heavily laden with pine cones. So Spirit's chattering about that. There's some kind of a thread connection, and we'll get into it. Before I forget, because I always forget to ask people to like and subscribe and share, and it's just something I guess I'm supposed to be doing if I'm on YouTube, because it does help me. It helps the channel views widen. My goal is to really get out to as many people as possible, because I feel like these are universal messages. So if you would do that for me, I would appreciate it. Thank you. And my website is up. If you want a reading, if you want a healing consultation, if you want to look into communication with a loved one who may be on the other side, go to the website and check it out. There is a lot of information there. Everything you need. You can book your reading. You can choose your own spot. There's a link right to the PayPal payment site. You're going to get an email and then a reminder the day before your reading. There's lots of information there, including information about how to join the live stream events. Okay, so let's jump in. Back to the cards. There are the cards for May. And Spirit has asked me, so I did load up the cards for the last 3 months, and I'm just going to show them to you, okay? So this is the reading that happened in March. Deep journeying. Being the touchstone, if you will, in your own life, right in the center of the reading. If you look at that center row, we see it's all about adventure. On both ends of that row, we see the notion of travel and adventure. And sandwiched in between those cards, we see the beautiful actually there are 3 major arcana cards there. So there is the beautiful Hermit and the Dreamer of growth, standing aligned with the adventure of art. And we also had in this reading the King and Queen of Art and the Lover of Devotion on the spirit realm. A very interesting array of cards about deep travel and dreaming your future and having the ability with the outcome card, the Imaginer of Harmony, to travel in whatever direction your soul wants to go. It was a really beautiful, beautiful transition. So traveling out into the deepest waters, we came into April in this way. And there was a lot of chatter that came through. Some of the very same cards were in this reading, but the Spirit saying the outer travel was coming home to roost in your human adventure. And if you look at it, you see that the Queen of Art and the Imaginer of Harmony are sitting together now in the human walk. And in April, or in March rather, they were positioned this way. So I just want to take a few minutes to go through this because your travel, as always, is really deep. You're very deeply connected to the spiritual realm as a Gemini. So here are the transitions that have been made. And we see in March this type of travel. And the notion of arising, and I was talking about the constellation Cygnus and urging everybody to go and look at the short video, maybe 5 or 10 minutes, that I added to the playlist for the month of March, I think. So there we are. Now we're transitioning into April. Many of the same cards, but movement. And in the center of the reading, in the center row, the middle two cards are the Guardian of the Gateway and the Mover of Energy. Again, we see this card that has to do with dreaming and ascension and deciding, the energy of the decider of will, moving your energy forward into the realm of the mystical goddess who is the sacred alchemist. If you look at the right-hand column of cards, every one of them is a major arcana card, and every card across the top, also a major arcana card. Beautiful shift and change and growth and continued movement and change in the way the movement happens and the outcome having been aligned with the Keeper of Harmony. The way in which a life goes forward in order to keep harmony in a central position in its life. This month, we see the Decider of Will as the first card that came out. The Spirit theme. Okay, Spirit's telling me the transition. Yes, there was a transition. There's last month. The Decider of Will is on the top left. First thing in the Spirit journey. And now it has come over the top of the reading. And so there is all this chatter coming through about the nature of the progression and the way the change is happening for you as a Gemini. And Spirit just wanted me to do the review, so thank you for being patient with that. I'm going to toggle over and say hi again. I'm back. And here's the card. Look at that. The Decider of Will. You see all the pine cones? I really, I'll tell you what. I was sitting there, and I just kind of went into a little bit of a very ethereal, meditative state, if you know what I mean. Okay? So there we go. The Decider of Will. After all this travel and all this shift and change and transition, and sitting right next to the Decider of Will, which is the spiritual theme that's guiding the reading, we see the soul. It's amazing to me. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? All right, the light is coming through the window. I guess I'm just going to be able to do it this way. There we go. The soul. Beautiful. Having an awakening. Okay. Going through a portal and journeying out into the sacred realm toward the transition and the shift and change of the triple spiral and the cauldron of healing. It's a beautiful notation this month. After all the travel that's been happening and all the ways Spirit has been talking to you about the deep level of your travel and the shift and change that's been going on, as the energy has continued to swirl through you and around you. I want to show you those cards just in concert with the rest of the reading, because I feel as though I'd like to spend just a few minutes, and thank you for indulging me, in consulting the text for your benefit, because of the fact that the decider of will and the soul come sitting side by side. That's a very powerful lead into this reading, and I think there are some very deep messages, and we'll go through. Spirit is very closely speaking with you, Gemini. If you look at the bottom row of cards, that's the card array that speaks to the human journey. There are two dialogue cards there. One is the dialogue of battle, and one is the dialogue of skill. And they sit on either side of the beautiful King of Art. It's very interesting to me, the way in which this is unfolding. So the decider of will shows the great Dagda, the great god of the Druids. The Druids were the keepers of tribal wisdom, and they were able to arbitrate, to divine from, and consult the spirits of the universe in order to discover solutions. By virtue of their attunement to the elements and the rhythms and the patterns of the manifest world, and to the spirit allies of the unseen world, the Druids were the mediators between the worlds. The decider of will governs willpower and intention, and the Druid is his exponent. The noble Scots pine is native to Scotland and northern parts of Europe. Its distinctive red bark and high branches are easily recognizable. The decider of will sets the soul on its journey. In his unfailing song, supports the soul in its travel, reminding the soul of its true intention as it steps upon the path of its destiny. And the spirit question, if you will, wrapped up in all of that, is about asking you to ask yourself, what is it that's manifesting, and what is your destiny in this moment? Spirit's being very pointed about that right now. Okay, Spirit's talking to me about being at the pond today. I just really came deeply into myself. Those moments when you feel yourself as a spirit being, it was so serene and so beautiful. And I came home and sat down to do your reading. And I always trust the way things unfold. I think that was a gift that was given to me because I was about to come and do your reading. And as always, Gemini, very ethereal and really beautiful and connected to the sacred realm. The very next card is the card that indicates you in these moments, your energy, how you are arriving, so to speak, into the moment under the light of the decider of will, whose job it is to set the soul on its journey. And there we see it. So another, Spirit's saying it's another clarification of the journey that you've been on and the deepening of that journey in a spiraling pattern. All right. So the soul is about a new phase, a fresh start. It's about having vision and faith in yourself in order to have opportunity in these moments, enthusiasm, playfulness, trust, and a sense of protection. So in this depiction, the soul is seen as a young traveler on its path of destiny. While the traveler sleeps, the spirit body goes forth in a dream to visit the immensities of the Celtic cosmos contained within the sacred cauldron. The triple spiral etched in light over his head is emblematic of his physical vitality, his vocational commitment, and his intelligence. In Celtic bardic lore, these are three essential receptors for all inspirational wisdom. The triple spiral also represents the totality of the spiritual path, the three spirals of revelation that we all tread. The soul was understood to continue after death, passing into different shapes or life forms. Having respect for our soul's purpose may look like foolishness to others, but the power and vision of our soul can only empower us when we acknowledge and manifest them and seek deeply in these moments into that which what is calling you to seek out wisdom in these moments. Very profound for you, beautiful Gemini. I really love it. So let's jump back in. The very first card on the human walk then is this reflective notion of the dialogue of battle. And above it we see a battle card, and next to it we see an indication of battle. Very interesting to me as a reader to see the way these cards are aligned. The dialogue of battle is a card that indicates, obviously, let me hold up and show it to you. Hang on a sec. There we go. See that? Making the climb. Cloak of, a red cloak around his neck, that's passion, and the blue garment indicates having been transformed. This is about what the other two cards were talking about. This is you on the human realm, reaching this pinnacle where you are in touch with the divine. That is an eagle. If you don't know anything about eagle medicine that comes out of native traditions, there's a lot of information online about that. I would urge you to go look. This is about higher vision. This is about being able to see with a type of vision that is, okay, Spirit's saying the word exalted. It's about long vision. It's about being able to glide effortlessly through the skies. Eagle can soar for miles, for hours, just on the drafts. And we see that here. In any place where you live, Spirit's talking to me about next to the river, that's interesting. And or when you live in a place where there are peaks and valleys, the raptor birds can glide along for hours. And this energy is the place into which you as a human are, Spirit saying, delivering yourself in this month of May with the decider of will and the soul going on its journey. With those two coming together in the way they're meant to be together, and then this showing up just after that, I know that Spirit is trying to speak directly to you through me and through the illustrations. And it has everything to do with your ability to be in dialogue with the sacred realm. And, the first step, of course, is being in dialogue with yourself. Obviously, that always comes first. So the dialogue of battle, here's the other thing. The dialogue of battle sits below supporting the augury, the first card in the suit of battle. And we'll get to that in a minute, but I find that also a very interesting placement. So, this idea of the dialogue of battle, in a sense, it's about reconciliation. It's about things coming to resolution because you have the ability to see both sides of a situation. It is about the mind having the ability to consider the heart. And that's the thing that Spirit is talking about. This is about balancing and rebalancing relationships and alliances that perhaps have been fractured and bringing things back into a state of harmony. And last month and the month before, we were talking about the notion of the keeper of harmony. Let me see if I can toggle back and show you. It's really interesting how this has come through. So we see the beautiful imaginer of harmony as the outcome in this reading. And on the top row, spirit realm, we see the lover of devotion. And we see the king of art again there, the person who is the pathfinder and who is able to clear away obstacles. And standing there, the dreamer of growth in the center row. Pretty interesting. And then in April, there we see the keeper of harmony as the outcome. And a lot of transition. And the first card on the spirit realm, the decider of will, is there, moving the energy forward, bringing it into the realm of the sacred alchemist, whose job it is to blend all these energies together as you bring balance and harmony into your life. And once again, on the bottom human row, the imaginer of harmony is there. It's fascinating to me. And here we have arrived into the month of May, where you are having this moment of reconciliation with the spirit side of your nature and with your heart, your mind rather, able to consider your heart and be aware of the heart. So in these moments, there is this sort of common feature in Celtic lore for the soul to take the form of a bird. And so here we have this reconciliation, in a sense, with the spirit side of your nature. And, according to the text, there actually are a lot of residual traditions concerning the symbiosis of birds and humans and forbidding the killing of certain species because of the nature of the bird people and what they represent. So Spirit just wants you to ponder that as we go forward. And sitting right next to that, once again, we see the beautiful King of Art, whose job it is to clear away obstacles and find the new path forward. Beautiful. Standing so solidly here upon the earth, but clearly having a pathway to the sacred and the mystical realm, and that is what Eagle is all about. So we see two notifications of what I call the bird people standing next to each other in the human realm of this reading, because on the spirit level, your soul is moving forward, and it is affecting your human walk, and it is bringing sort of a newness and a renewal to that. And then sitting right next to that, we have the dialogue of skill. Also a card about renewal and reintegration and coming back home to yourself. So my belief as a reader is that the Spirit really wants you to be able to interpret this message. In a sense, those three cards are very similar and wanting to drive home the notion of pathfinding and coming into a place of reintegration with the spirit side of your nature here firmly on the earth, because each one of these cards is about standing on the earth in your journey. So let me show you the card, and then I'm going to read to you a little bit from the text again. I think this month it's really important. That's a dialogue of skill. That's Merlin. And that's the great poet Taliesin. I'm going to read you a little bit of the story, but he's here to put his arm around Merlin to help him have a reintegration of himself after having lost some part of himself. So again, with the decider of will and the soul coming right over the top, and then all of this talk about dialogue and pathfinding and reintegration, the bird people, long vision, sacred vision. Amazing reading once again, Gemini. And on the human realm, very deep message about reintegration of the spirit self with the human self. And you know what? I just tripped over something. Spirit wanted me to say the human soul, meaning that which resides inside of you, pardon me, while you walk here in your human form. So Spirit's been talking a lot about the yin and yang of our ability, I'm being corrected, our ability to see and utilize and activate the yin and yang, the flow of energy between our spirit self and our human self. And it's been coming through for a long time, but it's being refined now in a very specialized way. So let's take a look at the what the book says about the dialogue of skill. It's about taking up a successful enterprise. So this notion of coming into this dialogue of battle with the sacred eagle, the energy of the sacred eagle, and being in a place of reconciliation, coming next upon the heels of that, rather, the King of Art, the King of Luke, who has a sacred spear that can clear away obstacles. So this reintegration that you are attempting on the human realm is being guided and protected, in a sense, by Luke and the sacred spear, who is both the pathfinder and the clearer of obstacles. And then as that notion progresses, we come into this notion of the dialogue of skill that has everything to do with the attainment of a goal because of having courage in the undertaking. So Spirit is telling you, this is about fulfillment, and you are more than equal to this challenge. It is a validation of your personal achievement. And because we're referencing the sacred realm and soul travel and journey, that's a very supportive message to get. So let me read you a little tale about Merlin here. The prophet Merlin could not be restored to his right mind after a long period of madness that was brought on by exposure to the horrors of battle. He wanders alone in all weather within the forest. It is only when the great poet Taliesin comes to his old friend and relates to him the creation of the world that Merlin becomes restored. Taliesin describes the elements, the weather, the natural world, its inhabitants, and so recreates a context for Merlin in order to take up his life again. Merlin's moment of reintegration comes about when the complex web of life is rewoven for him upon the skillful tongue of Taliesin. It is only when the fragmented soul is given a living, meaningful context that it can be reassembled. Wow, Gemini. This month I feel as though Spirit is wanting you to look into the cards and understand the depth of this message. We were talking about evolution and transformation and evolving, the way the message has been coming out. Last year, Spirit talked all about the sacred tapestry, weaving together the threads of our tapestry, of our energy set points, depending on our astrological assignment. So there is a deepening and a maturation, Spirit says, to the way the message thread has been and is arriving into in this moment. I'm going to toggle back so you can look at the cards while I chat. There is an arrival that is happening in these moments. Spirit is wanting to be really clear with you. This is why the cards are coming out the way they are. Something is transpiring that is uniquely linked to your soul journey and the way in which you experience the reintegration of your soul journey, your destiny, and just the facts of being a spirit walker, so to speak, in a human frame. So there's a lot of discussion coming through about that. I believe it's going to be the topic for the remainder of the year, and there is a reason why we've been preparing for these first few months of 2018. And now we're almost into the midpoint of the year. And so to see this sort of wrapped up in this way and the acknowledgement from Spirit is really wonderful. So the very next card, the bridge card, is the augury of battle. Okay, the first card in the suit of battle in this deck. That is about prophecy coming forward, joining the integration, the reintegration, the recontextualization of your soul presence in human form. This helps make the transition into the spirit realm. It is a prophecy about going forward in this way, fully transformed and empowered. It is the moment just before you put your hands on the sword of victory in this very beautiful form of stillness and purity. Really beautiful. And then the first card on the spirit realm is another courtship card. It's another card that has to do with courtship, with dialogue, with being in communication, and of course, the sacred realm. That's the courtship of knowledge. So, your soul, think about it for a second. All right. So this is indicative of your soul journey because it's on the spirit realm. And it's pretty clear what's happening. I don't have to say much about that. It's about becoming a supplicant to sacred wisdom. And, whether you call those gods and goddesses or angels, spirit guides, doesn't matter to me. Everybody has their own way of understanding that works for them. Okay, beautiful male energy. And in this placement, with the male energy, the first step on the sacred realm, no surprise to me, because the first card over the top of the reading is the sacred god of the Celts, the decider of will, who goes forward and sends the soul on its journey, and accompanied right there with your soul. Very clear message, beautiful Gemini. Male-informed energy. Look at all the beautiful male-informed energy in this reading. It's really intensely startling, the use of the male energy that is happening for your benefit. All of this male-informed energy going forward, reconnecting, reimagining, clearing away obstacles, and reintegrating in order to come into the prophecy that is uniquely yours, Gemini. Everything to do with courtship, with sacred knowledge, and the will to go forward into that place. And the very next card is the Queen of Skill. And the Queen of Skill welcomes this new life, this new place of being. And look at the center column. We see the King of Art standing below, supporting the journey that the soul is making, going out into the sacred realm in order to have its new journey. And on the spirit realm above, there is a confirmation for you about the fact that this is really literally what's happening. There's that baby having been transformed, returning into this life. And there are, again, bird people. I call them the bird people. Okay? The bringers of wisdom, the seers. So that, I would say, is crow medicine. I would look that up. And we see this beautiful goddess receiving this baby who's arrived for a new life. Look how activated she is. I love that her dress has the 2 horses and the key of life. So it is a little bit of a reference to the movement of energy. And next to her, we see the beautiful goddess of serenity, the revelation of the art of knowing and being able to understand that which is destiny. This woman worked in conjunction with the King of Art, and her job was to be the seer in order to help him understand who was going to be in his lineage. So the relationship of all these cards in this reading, pretty amazing to me. Because, I know the backstory. So let's finish up. Just take a look at how the columns are aligned, how the rows are aligned, and look at the bottom corners, and look diagonally toward the top, and understand the message that is embedded in the movement of the energy and the story of the reading, okay? And then, of course, no surprise, the outcome card is the mover of energy, who sits next to the decider of will. So this energy, this shift and change, the will that you have developed and that is assisting you, moves you forward as you come through the month of May. And this being the outcome, it has an indication about what is coming next month. And there is the Sacred Mother, right? So we have the great god Dagda, so to speak. We could call him the Sacred Father, right? And there they stand together, the decider of will and the mover of energy, both major arcana cards, guiding you, protecting you, assisting you, and assuring you of the type of journey that is meant for you this month, and getting ready to come into the deepest part of the year. Spirit is saying to me, a lot, Spirit's telling me to do that, So I'm going to leave you with the cards. Thank you so much. I feel like I was taken on quite a journey today through this reading and through the beautiful moments that I had leading into the reading. And I think that there's messaging in there for you. I think you're going to have a really beautiful, deep, intense month. It's going to be a little bit etheric, Spirit says. So enjoy it, and I'll look forward, as always, to speaking with you in the month of June. Have a wonderful month. And thank you, Gemini, for being willing to incarnate here in these days in order to carry this beautiful energy set point that you have for the benefit of us all. And never forget that you are your purpose and your development is your purpose. No matter what your role is outside of that, that is always true. And don't doubt yourself. Thank you, Gemini.